Conservative Voices Silenced. I'm Kristine Sposato, and I'm excited to be your guide through the stories that matter. Stories of resilience, strength, and triumph in a world that doesn't always make space for conservative voices.
And I'm Elizabeth Smith, joining Kristine in this journey. We know how it feels when your beliefs seem to be drowned out by the noise, but here on this podcast, we're turning up the volume.
That's right, Elizabeth, and we're creating a space where conservative voices can speak their truths, sharing the challenges they've faced and the victories they've celebrated.
Conservative Voices Silenced is not just a podcast, it's a movement that recognizes the diversity within conservatism and gives a platform to those who felt marginalized.
So whether you're a conservative looking for reliable stories or someone curious about the experiences of those with differing viewpoints, you're in the right place.
Get ready for an engaging ride as we dive into the trials and triumphs of conservatives navigating a progressive world. We invite you to join us on this journey of discovery, understanding, and most importantly, amplifying voices that deserve to be heard.
This is Conservative Voices Silenced, where silence ends and the conversation begins. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome everyone to Conservative Voices Silenced. I'm your host, Kristine Sposato, my fabulous co-host,
Elizabeth Smith. Hello, everybody.
Elizabeth. Well, first of all, I want to say that the last show that went out, Elizabeth is really our producer. She knows how this works. She's really the brains of the operation. She was out sick. Oh, and her electricity was off. So we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to do it myself, and it was sort of like a monkey juggling. And so I tried. I did 2 intros, and I messed them up. And so if you watch the one that's finally on the show, I'm laughing when the recording starts because I'm laughing at myself because I kept messing up. And then I forgot to acknowledge Elizabeth on that take because that she was sick and I missed her. I did on the first 2, and then the third one I didn't. So my apologies, Elizabeth. I did not mean to leave you out. I missed you very much.
I missed you too, and I felt so bad. I was so sick, and I'm glad I didn't get on record because my nose was so stuffy. Like you could still hear it in my voice that it is now, but it was so bad that I couldn't breathe through my nose. So I was like heavy breathing, constantly having to wipe my nose. Oh my gosh! And then Wednesday night, I had a high fever. I had the chills, and it was on and off for like 3 days. So I'm at the tail end of it, hopefully, but that was rough. So y'all missed all of the ugliness, but and then the second time
I missed you.
I missed you too, and I missed the viewers. Mm-hmm. Everybody, we love you all. We appreciate you all very much, and we appreciate the feedback. I love getting the feedback from people. It's awesome.
Well, and here's something that people can feedback us about is everybody I know has had so many viruses. Even I've been sick 3 times this winter, and that's atypical for me. And so I don't know if it's the chemtrails. I'm not an expert on what they spray us with. I'm not really sure. I'm not a student of chemtrails, but I think something is going on that either our immunity has been compromised significantly, or somehow they've exposed us all to a lot of viruses. I don't know. What do you think is going on?
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit of everything. We don't have city water, thank goodness. We have a well, so the poisoning of the water, we don't have that issue. But just the foods we eat, like we still shop at the grocery store. We've had chickens for 2 years. So we do eat our own eggs, but the rest of the food, we live in Pennsylvania, so we have winter, so we don't have constant garden, which hopefully in the future we will figure that out. But we we still buy the fruits and veggies from the store. We buy our meat from the store and things like that. So you just it's everywhere. There's poison everywhere. And they add sugar to everything. Everything. Like, look at your ketchup. There's sugar in frickin' ketchup. Like, it's tomato.
Yeah.
And it's just everywhere. And that just is not healthy for you to have that much sugar in your life. And even I'm trying to cut back on things. And it's hard because you're so used to having that stuff. I will tell you, I watch My 600-Pound Life religiously. I absolutely love Dr. Now. I think he's fantastic. He throws no punches. He tells them like it is, because they literally are on their last hope before they die. And that show, for me, that show is inspiring, and it makes me say, okay, I've gotten off track for the last couple of weeks. It's time to get back on track. Because I've lost almost 100 pounds since my oldest was born. And thank you. And that, it wasn't easy. And I had 2 other kids in between that time as well. Yeah. So I promised myself, I said, I will never be that weight again. And I'm not embarrassed by the weight. I was 254 pounds the day I had my oldest child, and he will be 10 in March. And I still have not seen that number since then. But it is hard, and it is constant. Yeah. And anybody that says that weight loss is easy has no idea, because it's not just eating better. It's not just getting active. It's in your mind. Why are you eating so much? Like those people on that show, they eat up to like 30,000 calories a day. A day is how many calories they're taking in to weigh 700 pounds. And that just blows my mind. So when you're thinking about weight loss, it's mental too. You have to find out why and overcome the reason that you eat. I know why I do it. I eat when I'm bored. I eat when I'm stressed. I eat when my kids are finally asleep and I finally get time to eat that chocolate I've been hiding from them all day. You know, like that's when I overeat. So learning that took a long time to actually admit to myself that that's why I was overeating. And once you get to that point, then everything can come into play. Then your body, you can tell yourself, this is why I'm eating. I'm stress eating. I'm eating out of boredom. And you can find other things to do so that you're not, or better things to eat. And that's a long process. That's not an overnight thing. So now that I went in my first rant ever, you're welcome.
That's a good rant though. And that's a good reminder for people. And I think in general, we live in a society that we don't have to discipline ourselves very much. Everything in our world is kind of easy and squishy, really. We don't have to do super hard discipline. And I had just, when we're talking about eating, for example, I had just started, I decided I wasn't going to eat after 3:00 in the afternoon, because after 3:00, and my husband and I usually don't eat dinner. So we eat breakfast and we eat lunch, but for several years, we haven't eaten an evening meal because we're old and we don't need an evening meal, right? It's just extra. But we would still snack. And so we traded out a meal for a bunch of, junk, because we were still in the habit of eating at the end of the day. And none of it was particularly good for us. So I decided, really, okay, after 3:00 is when I start eating garbage. And so I decided I'm just going to stop at 3 p.m. It was hard. It was hard. It took some discipline. It took some mental focus. And I just think that we aren't used to doing that very much anymore.
Yeah. Well, especially now since COVID, and now you can just order from Walmart.com or Amazon or your local grocery store even, and have it delivered, or you don't even have to get out of your car. You just go to pickup. And that makes it even more. We had McDonald's and we had Burger King, which was fast food. You could go through the drive-through or whatever. But now that's not even the only thing you have. People can just get online, pick up order, delivery. I don't get delivery where we live, but the places that are close to the stores, you get all your food delivered. You have absolutely no reason to go out of the house anymore. And that's so sad. We're so far apart from each other. There's no socializing anymore. No. And it's just really sad.
Well, I agree. I found that for myself, that my evening eating was out of boredom or stress or a reward. Today I blah. So, I'm going to have those chips or whatever that thing is that, I didn't get out carrots and celery for
Right.
my reward eating. I was eating garbage. And, to disconnect that belief that food is a reward, or food will stimulate me if I'm bored, or, that's a process.
Yep.
Good for you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
You should have your own podcast.
Should do a weight loss one.
Yes, you should. You are inspiring.
Thank
You are inspiring. Well, we do not have a guest today.
Nope.
You get the pleasure of just listening to the two of us go on our rants. So we're kind of excited about that. About being sick, though, I wanted to share that my husband got into a new miracle cure, and he soaked garlic cloves in a pint jar of honey. And he added, ginger and lemon, and let it soak for 30 days. And this is supposed to prevent illnesses, cure illnesses, make you happy. I don't know. That's a long list of things that this is supposed to do, but it's a holistic treatment. And so you might want to try it, Elizabeth. Pint jar of honey, garlic cloves. What did I say? Ginger and lemon.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard of that too. And I got a jar of fire cider from my friend Rebecca. She had made a bunch. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. I tell you, it does not taste good, but I think that's what's clearing up my sinuses, because I've been drinking that, doing a tablespoon the last couple of days, and I've been starting to feel better. Fire cider.
Look that up. Oh yeah, he might have put apple cider vinegar in there too.
Yeah. And then I've been drinking shots of aloe juice. It's not bad tasting. Like, I thought it would be really gross, but it's really not that bad. I just have a little cup, then every time I'm like thinking about it, I go in and take a shot. So far I feel like it's working, but I might just be, silly conspiracy theorists on all those natural things that work.
Well, we could go on another whole show about pharmaceutical companies. So
yes, we could. If y'all know any guests that can come on our show that wants to talk about that, please let us know.
Please let us know. That's right. Let's see. What else has been going on? Our phones went out.
The phones went out. Well, mine didn't. I was all over town, and I had no issues with mine. I have Patriot Mobile. They use AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile towers. So where we live, we use the T-Mobile towers, and we rarely have issues with our service. So we didn't get affected by that. Did you?
We do have AT&T, but we were okay. But that was just a crazy thing that happened, and another example of things that are happening around us, but they're not really telling us about.
Yes. So the article that I found says AT&T said Friday that the 12-hour-long outage to its U.S. cell phone network Thursday didn't appear to be caused by a cyber attack, blaming it on an incorrect process. So
that happens when I bake a cake sometimes.
Yeah, the incorrect process, and it doesn't. So they said that based on our initial review, we believe today's outage was caused by the application and execution of an incorrect process used as we were expanding our network, not a cyber attack.
Did you find out why your electricity went out last week? That was just 2 days before the cell phone debacle.
Yeah, they did not give us a reason why. It was our whole area. So when we first moved in here, we moved in here in 2013. We never had an issue with our electricity. Like, never. There could be a nasty storm. It could be super windy. We've always had no issues with electricity. And then just a few years ago, all of a sudden, I think it was one summer, the power went out like 4 times in 2 weeks. We're like, what is going on? And now ever since then, it's not all the time, but it's enough to be like, okay. And I know sometimes there's, an accident. Somebody runs into one of the power lines or whatever.
Right.
I get that. But the fact that we had never had, it was probably a good 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, somewhere in there that we never had an issue. And then all of a sudden now it's at least every couple of months something's happening. And this last time they didn't give us a reason. We just got text messages saying, your estimated time to be up and running again is, first it was 1:30 and then it was 3 and then
Yeah.
It did finally come on. I think it was like around 3 o'clock that it came on. But it was, I don't know. They might have said why. It might have been posted somewhere on Facebook. I just didn't know. I didn't see that post, but I don't know. So if anybody knows why our power went out, if you watch this and you live near me, and you know why, let me know.
Well, I think it's all just too much of a coincidence personally, but I don't have any evidence of that.
Right. And then, another spy balloon, but it's fine. We're fine.
Can you believe the spy balloon? I said, this reminds me of, you were probably too young to even remember this, but the O.J. Simpson slow chase where
I remember
they were trying to get him and he was going like 40 miles an hour down this freeway with his whole costume in the back seat, and like, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars in cash, but don't look here. There's nothing going on while he's puttering down the road. And there's helicopters flying all around. There's police cars chasing him. It was, and I think of these balloons they're sending over and I'm going, come on. They are so confident that nobody's going to pay any attention to them that they fly these slow balloons flying over, like scamming all of our. What is going on? The balloon thing. We don't even need to send our jets. Don't worry about those. Just leave them parked. They take too much fuel, but an old balloon.
Much less noticeable. It's fine.
I know, but they're so not scared of us. That's where that monkey is. The monkey is in there pedaling the balloon, keeping it going. Like, we're so not scared. We just send this balloon with a monkey. I don't know. Oh, for Pete's sake, we are in such deep trouble. I know.
It's like every day or something. It's crazy.
Yes. So you also read the article from Matt Walsh.
Yes. He posted something.
Talk about crazy.
Yep. So it says it's Queer Issue 2017. I'm not entirely sure what that magazine is or anything like that. But it says, my first time breastfeeding my daughter. Now let me set the stage for you all, because this is not coming from a woman. This is not coming from a mother that had the child. It is coming from a man who took hormones to basically have breast milk, but it's not actually breast milk. It's synthetic. It's from whatever medication they put him on. And I'll read the article. It's just a really small section of it. So it says, breastfeeding is freaky, not the sucking bit. You're reading The Stranger. So odds are you've had a titty sucked at some point in your life. No, it's because when my baby latched to my breast, there was an incredible chemical cascade that ran through my entire body like lightning. Imagine the most electric thing a partner has ever done to you, then multiply it by 10. I could feel my brain rewiring, creating pathways that would permanently connect me to my child. And then in parentheses, it says, and yeah, I kind of got off on it. Don't judge. Oh, honey, we're judging. We're judging hard. because that's disgusting. That is not at all what it is like to breastfeed a child.
No. No, that kind of gives me this weird goosebumpy, like chills thing to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard to read.
It's creepy. And in my mind, I think about gay couples, lesbian couples who want to have a child. I don't necessarily have a judgment on that. I think that's between them and God. And I don't know if there's a right and wrong about that. I think there's a better and a worse scenario, but when it gets into this area, I think the way he described that is exactly the evidence why men shouldn't breastfeed, because God didn't create their bodies for it. God created women to breastfeed, and so that's why women don't describe it that way. Men are kind of weirdos about some things. And women aren't so much. And that's how it strikes me is, well, there's the evidence why men should not be able to do that. And a whole bunch of other stuff.
Well, when I posted on Facebook, I said that it was like, it's pedophilia. This is 100% something that would come out of the mouth of somebody who's a pedo. And you don't talk like that about a child, and more importantly, not your own child. It's sick. And that person needs help, and that baby should be not with them.
What did the other your other followers, or what did people comment on that post?
I can find it. I should have kept the post up. I got a lot of really, really good feedback on it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I post a lot. Sorry, y'all. Do you like the post? You like it?
This is something that you can, on Facebook, go to our Facebook group, Conservative Voices Silenced. You can comment on our Facebook, and you can also email us at comments@Conservative Voices Silenced. But this is something we would love for you to weigh in on. My personal opinion is that I think men are kind of weirdos, like sexually sort of weird. I don't get it all. I never have quite gotten all of their business. And because it's foreign to me, I don't get it. And this is, I think, why God made us different. Did I already say that? I'm repeating myself. Okay, done.
You're good. So I've had, now I'm going to reply to somebody. Everything from sicko to, ew, never once did I feel like this when I breastfed. Good gracious. And then you have a couple other ones about, the cure. This is sickening and definitely pedophilia. This is horrible. These people need to be put away. Never should be allowed around children. That is for sure. Got it disgusting. Yeah. Basically what I had originally said too. And it's just, we need to not normalize this. That was another thing that I had said. It was a biological male that said that about a infant. We can't normalize that. That's not okay. There is a line, and that is so far past the line.
Right. And, the idea that, yes, bonds form between children, infants, and mothers during breastfeeding, but that other thing that he described about the lightning bolt and stuff, that certainly wasn't my experience. And I've never heard women describe it that way either. It's something that's deep and a warm connection. And this other kind of, I guess I would describe it as like, maybe like a primal power that which if I had to use words to describe that, I would say that I would defend that child to my death. That's how powerful that bond was. But that didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in one like lightning bolt.
Right.
It is powerful, and it is a powerful connection. And I think it's something that was, divinely designed. But not that.
Yeah, definitely not in any way sexual. Not at all.
No. That's creepy.
Yeah. So that was what I wanted to talk about. You had an article you read this morning during your morning food and breakfast.
My morning breakfast. I did. So, okay, here's my rant for today. And I'm really, we even had a different show planned and pivoted for this because I was on such a tear. So my husband reads every morning while he eats breakfast and drinks his coffee. That's his kind of thing. And I sent this to Elizabeth. I'll show you. Here's the evidence. Do you see the peanut butter stains? I photocopied out of his magazine, but this is my life. Peanut butter. But nonetheless, I can still read it.
Yes.
And thank you for not being grossed out, Elizabeth. That was kind of weird.
Okay, kids, ducks, chickens, dogs, cats, nothing grosses me.
Okay, good. So this is from a publication called The Fence Post. And this is a regional publication that goes to rural America. It's Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska. So, and, a lot of rural folks read The Fence Post. It's a weekly magazine that comes out. It's always full of issues and things that are going on that affect rural America. And it's very well done. If anybody's really I would highly recommend it, just if you want to get a slice of what's going on in rural life. And I have given copies to people that have told me, I don't really understand what's the problem with reintroducing wolves to rural Colorado. Wolves are cool, they're nature. And so I've been able to hand them The Fence Post and say, here, read this from a rural perspective. So I think it has a lot of value.
Yeah.
So my husband was reading this to me today. I apologize that it's kind of a long article, but I think you really need to hear it all to get the entire context of what is happening. So bear with me. Dan Gates, executive director of Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management, said his group is dedicated to defending the North American model for wildlife management. The model is the same one that is implemented by Colorado Parks and Wildlife that the agency said has made possible for their successful management of lynx, moose, black-footed ferrets, elk, and turkeys. Gates said that the time for the agricultural community and the hunters and angling community to enthusiastically cooperate against threats that oppose interests important to both groups has arrived. The signature gathering phase of Initiative 91, Prohibit Trophy Hunting, is underway in an attempt to outlaw the hunting of mountain lion, bobcat, and lynx. Lynx are federally and state protected and cannot be harvested. Anyone who is in the livestock industry in Colorado is fairly familiar with the last initiative we had, which was 114 to reintroduce wolves. And this rides on the coattails of that, Gates said. They feel like they had a success, even though by a very slim margin, and they're trying to further impose their wishes, wants, and desires on the people of Colorado, whether they understand the repercussions or ramifications of these sort of initiatives or not. Gates said proponents are taking a smoke and mirrors approach to convince voters what is happening under science-based wildlife isn't right. Throughout his 37 career in wildlife management, Gates says he has seen significant changes to the demographics, but not to the point where the majority of citizens align themselves with extremists like Cats Aren't Trophies or CATS, or which is one of the groups pushing Initiative 91 that count Carol Baskin of Tiger King fame or their supporters. Domestic livestock production, agriculture production, wildlife management, hunting and fishing all over have a centric issue that crosses over the intersection that is important for our communities. And I say communities because it is livestock and agricultural communities, along with conservation-minded communities of sportsmen and women. We are all at the tip of the spear, and that's what we're having to deal with on Initiative 91 to ban the harvest of mountain lion, bobcat, and lynx, he said. They want to alter our lifestyle. They want to alter what we eat, what we hear, where we go, what we do, what we own, and how we do it. And we're in this fight together. Gates said the push to ban mountain lion, bobcat, and lynx hunting isn't new. The group previously approached the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission and they were rejected. They were told no 3 consecutive times, 2 of which were by the governor's own commission appointments. The most recent attempt using the legislature was through Senate Bill 22-031, prohibit hunting bobcat, lynx, and mountain lion. I'm skipping a little bit here. Public comment and support and opposition required 3 hours and additional seating in the room. Notably, one of Governor Jared Polis's most recent appointments to the CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, Jessica Beaulieu, testified in support of the bill. And this is her quote. The reason and logic of voters and the governor's appointed commissioners and the area that was so much going to be affected by these issues came to fruition. Enough is enough. What is right is right, and what is wrong. There were originally 2 different initiatives aimed at banning mountain lion, bobcat, and lynx hunting. Gates said by going through the title board and state Supreme Court channels, as agriculture did in both the wolf reintroduction and the pause initiative, they were able to have one initiative rejected by the title board and are left with Initiative 91. He said this is done on behalf of all consumptive users on the landscape and all management objectives, including the major role played in agricultural conservation. They have deep connections to what is going on in Denver this year. For the Slaughterhouse ballot initiative for the Denver City and Council residents to vote on, and the fur ban ballot initiative to ban the sale of fur. Colorado Parks and Wildlife released a fact sheet on mountain lion management and confirms that mountain lion as game species, proponents included, okay, I won't read that. They claim that mountain lions are not hunted for meat or management, though hunters of mountain lions are required to prepare big game for human consumption. And in my experience in rural Colorado, they are. They said that lion populations have grown in Colorado since 1965, and said bobcat populations are also stable and may increase in some areas. Healthy and robust lion and bobcat populations, which Colorado's current management is designed to maintain, are important to functioning ecosystems. CPW values carnivores and their prominent role in our landscapes, and harvesting a sustainable number of carnivores each year doesn't reduce the ecosystem service provided by the larger population. CPW has demonstrated a track record of promoting and protecting strong mountain lion and bobcat lynx populations across state, supports our mission conserving wildlife. So now the ballot proposal in the city and county of Denver prohibition of fur products extends beyond the fur coats to also include the sale of cowboy hats that are made of beaver felt, the sale of fly fishing tie material, and fishing lures with wild fur on them. and affects the Native American community that participate in the Colorado Indian Market, the Southwest Art Festival, and the annual Denver Powwow in March. The prohibition of slaughterhouses in the city and county of Denver. Let's see, I'm trying to skip ahead. Would make it unlawful to construct, maintain, or use, or cause, or permit to be constructed, maintained, or used a slaughterhouse within the city and county of Denver. It would also prioritize any resident whose employment is affected in workforce training or employment assistance programs. The primary facility affected, if proposal were passed, is Superior Farms, the largest lamb processor in the state and the source of nearly all lamb found in restaurants and grocery stores in Colorado. There are common connections, the same mission, the same people, a lot of the same money, and the livestock industry, the conservation community, hunting and angling, the hook and bullet community need to come together because we can't do all of this individually. I don't think Colorado's a done deal. I don't think our lifestyle heritage and traditions are a done deal. I don't think our conservation efforts are a done deal. I think that we all need to work together. They ought to be a proactive measure rather than just being reactive. There's a little bit more. But what is making me crazy is there is this one like slaughterhouse, they're calling it, but one processing facility left in Denver. All the rest have moved out. And there are these little enclaves within the Denver metro area that are still rural. The communities have built up around them, but the way they are zoned, they're still zoned to be rural. My mother-in-law and father-in-law lived in one of these little communities where they were raising alpacas right next door to them. They baled hay on their property, and yet they bordered a golf course. So the way Denver is zoned is kind of the Denver metro area. These places still exist. And so they are going after this one specific facility. I know that the facility employs 75 people at this, that they were talking about, this sheep. And the Governor Jared Polis's husband is rumored to be the head of this organization that's going forward to try and protect animals within Denver and Colorado. So there's a tie between the governor and his husband, and they are both these animal rights activists. So there's a lot like behind the scenes going on. Okay, I heard this, and then I, went in to brush my teeth after breakfast, and then I started spinning, and I thought, okay, wait a minute. So these people are these animal rights activists, supposedly. Then I would assume that they have some reverence for life if they believe that all animals should be protected. The other thing that this also affects is the state of Colorado. Residents here are longtime hunters. They're really into hunting. You hear that with mountain lions and lynx. I mean, that's not everybody's cup of tea, but there are a lot of people who do deer and elk hunting. So if this was passed, an individual couldn't even bring home their own game and hang it and process it on their own property. That would be outlawed in this bill. So that's how far-reaching this is onto individuals' rights, what they can do on their own property. But I'm thinking, okay, so I'm an animal rights person, and I just really love animals, and I don't think any animal should be killed for any reason, because I have got some spiritual, religious, philosophical belief, something there that has a reverence for life. A beaver shouldn't be harvested to make somebody's cowboy hat. There's no value in that. The beaver should be able to live its beavery life in its beaver den and be a beaver. That's what I believe. Okay. So then I was thinking, but wait, Colorado has the most liberal abortion laws in the country. You can kill a baby on its due date in Colorado. And people think that's fine.
Right.
So I'm so sensitive that I don't want even Native Americans to be able to honor their own traditions and heritage in any way. In their ceremonies, in their art, they can't use fur or feathers or anything because the reverence for a live animal is more important than any of that, which that's another show, right? What's happened to the Native Americans and how we tell them what to do and take away their rights. But that aside, you don't want to kill a beaver, but you can slaughter a baby on the day that it's due to be born. And that is Colorado's law, people. That is their law, and it does happen. If it didn't happen, why would we allow it? Why? That's silly. It happens. It happens, people. And it was voted in by the liberal people in the Front Range, well, primarily, of Colorado. The people that don't have any understanding of what goes on in rural communities, how all these wildlife laws affect agriculture. And frankly, I don't know if anybody in the city cares because they want to eat Bill Gates chemical burgers. And right, they want to, going back to your 600-pound life, that's got to be super healthy, right? Getting rid of any natural food. And I will tie that back to game hunting. I can tell you that I've eaten a lot of antelope because my husband is a hunter. It isn't my favorite. People talk about gamey meat. Honestly, it kind of tastes like sagebrush, not just like sage the spice that you would put on sparingly. In my experience, antelope is not my favorite. But when I eat it, I do have reverence for its life. I do have reverence for it being, an honest harvest within the law. It has animal conservation built into how they get licenses to harvest animals. And also it's organic. It's grass fed. Well, antelope don't live where there's much grass, unfortunately, but you can't get any more healthier than eating real game. And I eat it, whether I totally love it or not. I do, because I respect where it came from. I respect that it's healthier for us than Bill Gates chemical burgers. But I have wildly digressed. But I think all of this all stirs in the same pot of taking away our rights, forcing us to accept a different way of living, a different way of eating, a different way of behaving. And again, it specifically included Native Americans. And the question that I brought up was, but yet you can kill a human baby. So I just want to ask people how they make sense of all this. Explain to me your thought process of how all of this makes sense, because I want to understand it. I choked on my toothpaste. It did.
Well, we may have had some technical difficulties. So if anything seems a little off, that's because we were kind of booted for a second there. Hopefully my editing skills will help, but if not, sorry about that.
They will. I have confidence.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to wrap up. I hope I got everybody really fired up. But the last point that I made earlier that was you know, whether you're Christian or not, I think that I've already said enough. But if you are Christian and you do have a biblical foundation, the first thing that I thought of was, but God killed animals to make Adam and Eve outfits when they were naked. God shows up. This is in Genesis, and God goes, "What are you doing with those leaves on?" Ooh. And they're, they explain what happened. The serpent, things just went awry, and so in Genesis 3, it is verse 21. The Lord made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. So God harvested an animal for Adam and Eve's benefit to make clothes out of them. It's very clear. He made garments of skin. He didn't like the leaves. The leaves weren't cutting it for him. He was like, no, that's never going to work. You got to have. Okay, so there's that. So I believe that the God I believe in endorses harvesting animals for use, respectfully. Then it goes on in Leviticus. Now, personally, I think Leviticus just goes on and on and on, chapter after chapter, of how to worship God. And he gives all these examples. Anyway, it's all about sacrificing animals, specifically how to do it. In Leviticus chapter 3, if someone's offering is a fellowship offering, he's very specific, and he offers an animal from the herd, whether male or female, he is to present before the Lord an animal without defect. He's to lay his hand on the head of his offering and slaughter it at the entrance to the tent of the meeting. And truly, Leviticus goes on and on and on, like the entrails and the blood and the head and the hindquarters. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it does go on and on. But to me, that clearly says that this is not a sin against God to harvest animals, and that there's a purpose for it, and it's not wrong. So weaving that back to the question of, these people are okay with banning hurting any animal, harvesting an animal for any reason, but they can abort babies, kill babies. That's where I go back to, this is upside down. This is, this is just crazy and wrong. And I want someone, I legitimately want someone to explain that to me. So if you, again, would please, you can jump on our Facebook page. It's Conservative Voices Silenced. Please leave comments, explain this to me, or you can email us at comments@Conservative Voices Silenced. So there's my rant for the day. I'm done now.
I don't know how much of this episode actually recorded. I'm having issues with my internet browser. So she was trying to close it out, and then it got completely kicked out. So I am going to say thank you so much for listening, for watching. We appreciate every single one of you. If you have any comments, or if you know somebody that would like to be on our podcast, please email us at comments@conservativevoicessilenced.com. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.